Hello, friends. I'm sure you all know that snow is precipitation in the form of ice crystals. Water covers over 70% of our planet. And in the northern regions, it turns into snow and ice. Frozen water can bring both joy and trouble. Most of the time, a snowfall on a quiet winter night is a very beautiful sight, but it sometimes happens that snow and ice can pose a serious threat. And now, you're going to find out what kind of threat it is. In summer, we get thunderstorms, but in winter, there are snowstorms. During such storms, large amounts of snow fall in a short time. The snow covers everything: houses, roads, and streets, making it impossible to drive cars. They simply get stuck in snowdrifts, while some houses get blocked off by the snow that reaches nearly up to their roofs. Even when there is no storm, a lot of snow can fall, thus covering the world around it. If there is no frost at the time, the snow becomes wet and heavy. Sometimes it can cause the roofs of residential and various other buildings to collapse under its weight. The snow that accumulates on the roofs often falls down from them, which can be quite dangerous. A lot of snow can accumulate on the roof and then rush down. If there's a person standing by the roof or a car is parked under it, they may get injured or damaged. It's good if the snow is soft, but sometimes it can be a block of ice that breaks off the roof, and that is very dangerous. Another kind of danger is freezing rain. That is when it rains at sub-zero temperatures. The water freezes immediately and an ice crust forms on everything, on cars, houses, trees, and communication lines. Car owners often can't get inside their vehicles after such a rain. Trees fall down, unable to bear the weight of the ice, blocking the roads. Even poles and supports can fall down, and the roads get covered in a terrible ice crust. It is impossible to drive safely on such a road, even if you have studded tires. It's simply impossible to control the car, which is why there are so many accidents in such weather. Sometimes during summer, ice falls down from the sky instead of rain. It's called hail, and it's a very unpleasant phenomenon. Each of us has seen hail at least once in our lives and knows what it looks like. Most often, these are small balls of irregular shape, but sometimes there are huge blocks the size of a chicken egg or even bigger that fall down from the sky. It can cause severe damage to cars, breaking windows, and making lots of dents that are nearly impossible to get rid of. Large hail also damages the roofs of houses and wall cladding. It can also ruin crops. The following dangerous phenomenon occurs only in mountainous areas. An avalanche is a huge mass of snow that rushes down from the mountains. The snow stays on the slope because of friction. An avalanche occurs when the pressure forces and the mass of the snow exceed the friction force. This avalanche descended quite far from the settlement. The sight was fascinating. However, the snow that was lifted into the air still reached the people who managed to hide in their houses. It looked like a snowstorm with a strong wind. These tourists were taking a rest on Lake Capuche in Nepal when an avalanche slid off the mountain right before their eyes. The avalanche didn't reach the tourists, but the snow and gusts of wind raised by the avalanche did. And this is a rather unusual avalanche. It looks more like a mudslide, only with snow instead of mud. The snow is slowly moving down the gorge. It looks very unusual and interesting, but it's still better not to stand in its way, but watch from the sidelines. And this happened in Dagestan in the spring of 2021. A powerful stream of snow descended from the mountains and covered one of the villages of the republic. It crushed cars and destroyed houses. Fortunately, no people were hurt. Sometimes drift ice can get carried ashore. In 2016, a massive ice drift occurred in Veliki Ustyug. This footage shows mountains of ice floating down the river, pressing against the shore and piling up on it turning city streets into impenetrable glaciers. Here's the same situation that was filmed on Lake Erie, USA. Surprisingly, this is not a river. There is no current there, but the ice still rises and piles up on the shore. Not so long ago, on November 20th, 2022, a severe snowstorm hit the western part of New York State. In just 24 hours, this blizzard of unprecedented proportions caused Orchard Park alone to receive an extraordinary amount of snow by the New York State standards, which will definitely make it into some book of records. It started snowing on Thursday, November 17th, and continued to snow until Sunday, November 20th, in cities south of Buffalo, the second largest city in New York. All roads in the state got covered with an ice crust and a layer of snow literally overnight. Drivers weren't ready for the early arrival of winter in the region and simply didn't have time to prepare their cars. Thus, many of them couldn't keep control of their vehicles and ended up causing many large-scale accidents. Several kilometers of the highway were filled with cars, and this was during rush hour. Traffic was paralyzed for several hours. In order to clear the road, the local police had to involve several rescue crews and the highway administration. The entire roadway was covered with wrecked car parts. The cars had to be moved to the Denver Stadium parking lot. According to the law enforcement officers, many drivers received various kinds of injuries, and some required hospitalization. New York is no stranger to lake effect snow. The lake effect snow is when dry, frosty air picks up moisture and heat as it moves along warmer lakes. This causes part of the lake water to evaporate, which makes the air warmer and more humid. When the air front cools down and leaves the lake region, heavy precipitation falls in the form of freezing rain or snow. When heavy winds blow from the side of the Great Lakes, heavy lake effect snowfall begins. However, heavy windy snowfalls aren't the norm for the state, but a state of emergency. Therefore, snowfalls of this magnitude are a manifestation of global climate change. Scientists believe that people need to get ready to deal with the kinds of weather that weren't common in their region before. According to Professor John Beddington, scientific advisor to the British government, the world has moved from the idea of global warming to the concept of global climate change. He noted that the temperature on the planet is rising, but more importantly, the weather is becoming more inconsistent. Beddington also noted that abnormal weather will be observed more and more often, and he wasn't only talking about snowfalls, but also about rain, storms, hurricanes, and extreme heat. Experts believe that because of global warming, the amount of energy stored in the atmosphere and oceans has increased, and intense weather processes occur as a result of its release. Scientists believe that such processes will occur more often and their magnitude will only increase. Friends, that's all for today. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.